This was our propane setup on the very first trip in our four-wheel camper. Two 10-pound propane tanks that came with the camper, and one or two disposable 1-pound bottles for grilling outside the camper. It's always good to carry a backup. And this is our current setup for most trips. In this video, we'll go over our propane strategy and equipment and how we use a little extra equipment to reduce weight, reduce waste, save money, and gain redundancy. Here's our approach. First, we only travel with one of the factory-supplied 10-pound tanks. That saves about 24 pounds. It typically lasts us a little over 20 camping days during cool fall camping weather, but way more in the summer. Second, we use the refillable Flame King bottle for outdoor grilling, which is most of our cooking, except for boiling water inside the camper or coffee or an emergency freeze-dried meal. This is a refillable 1-pound Flame King system. Mr. Heater also makes one called Fuel Keg. The disposables are about $5.49 US for 1 pound of propane near us, while we buy it in our 10 and 20-pound tanks for about $3.79 per gallon, or about 90 cents for 1 pound. We do not refill the disposable cans, but more on that a little later. Third is our Plan B. It's a stake saver connector that allows us to run all the interior camper propane devices with a 1-pound bottle when the 10-pound tank runs out. We tested this to make sure both the stove and furnace can run on it, and even when both are running at the same time, there's no problem at all. Finally, we carry a spare 1-pound disposable tank as an emergency backup. We rarely use it, so the lighter disposable bottles work fine for this purpose. Actually, we have a Plan C backup strategy in that we carry a Jetboil backpacking stove for some outdoor cooking or for inside cooking when we might be in stealth mode with the top down. And a spare down quilt can keep us toasty if there's no more propane to run the furnace. Okay, now let's look at how we fill a Flame King refillable 1-pound bottle. Make sure you wear gloves. Don't do like I did in this video, because the liquid propane can freeze your skin. And do it outside, away from any open flame or other ignition source. Never do it indoors or in your garage by the furnace or water heater pilot lights. First, turn the larger tank upside down on the stand that came with the kit. Attach the connecting pipe with fill valve and the 1-pound refillable bottle. Open the main valve on the source tank and open the bleed valve 1/4 turn with an Allen wrench. Press the fill valve for a minute or two until liquid propane just starts to spit out the bleed valve. That's how you know when it's full, but not overfilled. When this happens, stop filling, close the bleed valve, and close the main valve on the source tank. Next, remove the 1-pound bottle and then press the fill valve lever one more time to vent the liquid propane that was trapped in the fill pipe. Finally, remove the fill valve and turn the large tank upright again. They say it should not be left upside down on the stand for more than 10 minutes. So why not just refill the disposable bottles? There are a lot of people on YouTube who will show you how to refill the disposable bottles and how to get a maximum amount of propane in each one. So yeah, a lot of people do it and it works just fine most of the time. So I won't tell you not to do it. I'll just tell you why I don't do it based on my research and my engineering background. Here are my reasons for not refilling disposables. Number one, compared to the refillable bottles, disposable fuel bottles have thinner walls, welds, and necks, and relief valves that are not designed for repeated use. They also do not have overfill protection. Number two, the label says never refill, may cause explosion, and that it is illegal to transport refilled bottles, for example, in your rig. Accidents are not common, but if there is a fire caused or made worse by a refilled propane bottle, I could be liable for any injury or damages. Number three, there's a very real and more practical reason for not refilling the disposables, and that is it's time-consuming and a real hassle compared to a refillable system. And number four, while you can save money over the purchase of new disposable bottles, the amount you save over refilling with a safer and easier to use Flame King or fuel keg system are small and are simply not worth it. You may recall we had 4 goals in changing our propane practices. Now let's see how we did. Here is an overall summary of what our current approach has saved us in 5 years. It's based on 60 grilled meals a year using 6 1-pound bottles a year, or 30 1-pound bottles in 5 years. There's an addendum at the end of this video that provides the basis for these savings estimates for those that are really interested in the gory details. We saved about 22 pounds in weight on average, mainly due to the 10-pound tank we leave at home. We sent 30 fewer 1-pound bottles to the landfill. We saved about $100 US in costs, and we gained some flexibility and redundancy. Nothing earth-shaking, but altogether we are pleased with the benefits of our current approach. We hope this helps you settle on a propane strategy of your own. If you are a die-hard refiller of disposable bottles, that's fine too. Please don't flame me for my thoughts and the practices that we are comfortable with. Thanks for watching. The details on our cost, waste, and weight savings estimates are covered in the next 3.5 minutes. Most of our weight in the beginning was in the 2 10-pound tanks that came with the camper, one of which we used while the other stayed full as a backup. Almost 50 pounds total when they were both full. The 1-pound tanks are a lot lighter. The emergency tank is always full and the other averages about 50% full. And there was no other hardware in the beginning. In our current strategy, the Flame King is about a ½ pound heavier than the refillable 1-pound bottle, but now we leave the second 10-pound tank at home, and that saves us 24 pounds. The Flame King adapter and Steak Saver adapter total only 1.3 pounds. So our total weight is still 22 pounds lighter, or about the weight of the 1 tank we leave at home. Now, how did we do in reducing waste over the last 5 years? We camp about 60 nights a year, and we get about 10 meals out of one 1-pound propane bottle. So that's about 30 fewer disposable propane bottles that we sent to the landfill or to recycle. Now let's look at what we've saved in 5 years. As we saw earlier, we used 30 pounds of propane in 5 years just for cooking. That amounts to 30 disposable tanks at $5.49 US each, for a total of $164.70, plus 1 emergency tank we rarely use, for a total of about $170. In our current approach, we now spend $27 for that 30 pounds of propane by buying it in bulk. We still bought 1 disposable tank for backup, and we got the Flame King kit for $64.95. But since it has a 10-year life, it only costs us about $32 for 5 years. And the Steak Saver adapter likewise was $10, but the 5-year cost is only $5 if we assume it has a 10-year life. So the total 5-year cost for the outside grilling propane is only about $70, and we save $100 US over our original setup for grilling and the camper propane. Now, how are we doing on redundancy? Well, when we left our spare 10-pound tank at home, that left us with only 2 1-pound tanks for the grill and the jet boil, but no emergency propane to run the camper before we got the 10-pound tank refilled. In the current setup, we can use the Steak Saver connector to run the camper with the Flame King 1-pound tank or with the emergency 1-pound tank. And if our 10-pound tank has plenty of propane, we can refill the Flame King tank on the road. And again, we always have the jet boil backpacking stove. And here's that summary one more time.